Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the big men in the middle. We're talking about the Ruckman, and it's a weird one for 2026. There's going to be some adjustments with the rules and a couple of guys coming up through the ranks and maybe pipping the big guys that have been there for a while. But let's start at the top of my top 20 Ruckman though, and it's pretty clear cut at the top, I think. There's a few guys here, I think there's four or five guys here that are obviously going to dominate this year, I reckon. And of course, it starts with the big man, the main guy, Max Gawn. He's a freak. He's, in my opinion, the greatest ruckman that's ever played the game. Especially fantasy-wise anyway. He just dominates week in, week out. You can say maybe coming towards the end of the career, there's some durability issues maybe, but when he is on the field, he dominates. No other way to put it. And I think even with the new ruck rules and his role, and obviously he's got Max Heath there, I think, as the main second ruckman coming in. But it's all about Max Gawn. If he's going to play, he's going to be there in the middle every week, dominating. And I think he's going to go well over 100 again this year, and probably closer to 110 still if he is on the park every week. Tim English, though, is not far behind. I think he's the modern day ruckman. He's athletic, he's big, tall guy, and gets the hit outs, marks the ball with ease, kicks his fair shares of goals as well, and can run, gets disposals. So just your everyday modern ruckman, I think. And again, doesn't have too much competition at the Dogs. There's a couple coming through the ranks, but I really think there's no other option at the Dogs for the ruck role apart from Tim English. So lock him in. Definitely a top 5 or top first round selection in all drafts, 100%. Now, here's where maybe it gets a little bit controversial for other people, but I'm not putting Rowan Marshall up here. Next one is Brodie Grundy in my mind. He is a gigantic midfielder in my head. He just runs like a midfielder, like a zippy little midfielder. He just launches from the contest if he's not tapping it down to a midfielder. He's taking it out himself and kicking it up the field. And just so athletic for a big man. And at Sydney, what a great change for him after, obviously at Collingwood for the first part of his career, a huge chunk of his career, and dominated at the end there. But then he did have that weird year at Melbourne, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the move to Sydney was amazing. He is clear-cut the number one ruck there. And again, he's just going to be running out of the midfield, I think, and really accumulating the ball and getting amongst the chains and things like that. So just a good, solid, running, athletic ruckman. Again, I think he is potentially a round 1 selection this year. I wouldn't be mad picking him at least at the end of round 1. Definitely in round 2, though. I reckon he's definitely worth it. Tristan Cherry, another obvious dominant ruckman for the last couple of years, really popped, had one of the biggest breakout years, I think. Upped his average by like 40 points a couple of years ago. But ever since then, just dominated at the North Melbourne Kangaroos, ever since Goldstein left a couple of years ago. And maybe one with a bit of speculation with the new rules, maybe with the tip ends of the ground, maybe losing a couple of hitouts. But I don't know, with the preseason, I still think he is like the main man. I think people were a bit skeptical again with the State of Origin. People saying, oh, the ruck's dead. Well, there were like 4 or 5 dominant ruckmen in that game. But when you come back to North, Tristan Cherry is the man. I think the young Taylor Goad, who's like a 20-year-old ruckman at North, he's gone down with an ankle injury in the preseason too. So, I don't think there's a whole lot of competition there at North. I think he's going to be the man week in, week out. Again, very athletic, modern day guy. And I just think, again, I just don't think he's going to have as big a year maybe as a couple of years ago, but he's still going to be dominating week in, week out. And pretty durable, especially with that headset on. Now, my 5th best one here is Darcy Cameron, and that's because I think he is possibly most secure role for a ruckman in the league, and definitely one of the most consistent, especially since Mason Cox has left. So any kind of tall opposition is really, well, I mean, there's a few there, but Mason Cox was the one, maybe taking a few hit outs every year. But I think that's going away now. I think Darcy Cameron is the main man at Collingwood throughout the whole season. And yeah, there's a few, like Oscar Steen, a couple other young ruckmen there. But yeah, it's Darcy Cameron through and through, I think. And yeah, another one that's just going to adapt well to the new rules. He's not too bulky. He can jump. He's very durable, I feel. And yeah, just one that doesn't get talked about enough, I think. I think he had like a close to 100 average last year. And I think he's going to do a little bit better this year and just get that consistency up. And yeah, I think he'll actually benefit from the new rules too. Now, a little bit of bias here maybe, but I think Lloyd Meek is a beast, and he is very potentially able to get up close to that triple digit mark. He's just a freak. He's athletic for such a big, stocky dude, but I think he's trimmed down a bit in this preseason, actually, and he's even zippier for a ruckman than he was before. Obviously gets up, gets the hitouts. I think he was top 5 for hitouts last year. And yeah, just, again, athletic. The babyface killer, I call him sometimes, because yeah, good old Lloyd, big Lloyd Meek. I love that man. But you do have Ned Reeves there as his direct ruck number 2 at the Hawks, and he's like 210 centimeters tall. So kind of that, yeah, gifted ruckman. Obviously has the potential to impede maybe on Meek, but I think in the preseason game we just saw it was all about Lloyd Meek. He was everywhere. He was all over the ground, and again, he can run. This guy tackles, he runs, he's a beast, and I love him. So good fun to watch. I think he'll get closer to the triple digit mark this year. Toby Nankervis, the captain of Richmond, is, yeah, got the role. He's the captain. He's the main man in a rebuilding team. I think he's potentially going to be their best player this year. Maybe Taranto or, yeah, I think it's him or Taranto, 1 and 2. And yeah, I think he's going to do a bit better than last year. I think he was a bit off. He notoriously gives away a lot of frees, but if he can, yeah, keep it a bit cleaner. And again, I don't think there's anyone really impeding on him for the number 2 ruck spot. I think it's all about Nankervis. Yeah, a couple of floated names there, but none I'm really thinking are going to take the role off him in the long term, or the short term anyway. But yeah, just another good year incoming for him. He's just got the role. He's the captain. Good choice for a ruckman. He probably could wait a bit on draft day to pick him up, though. Usually slides a fair way. So, but I wouldn't wait too long, because a couple of these other guys here are a little bit skeptical, and they're getting a little bit more hype maybe than Nank. And that is Luke Jackson. Luke Jackson from Fremantle. Yeah, young ruckman, very young, but has dominated. He's a modern day young ruckman, athletic, can run, takes the marks, kicks the goals, gets in the ruck, jumps high, and that's what it's going to be about now. It's going to be about jumping. It's not as much jostling. It's going to be jumping, and he is, yeah, going to have another great year. The only thing I have with him is his role. So obviously Sean Darcy's there and he's been the main one, I feel, or should have been, but durability has let him down, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, Luke Jackson also has Mason Cox there, who's just come over, 35 years old, I think. But yeah, 210 centimeters, loves to fall over. But yeah, he is gonna get games, no doubt, and they'll no doubt be putting him in the ruck. So I just think it's gonna be just like who was Darcy Cameron, just like Darcy Cameron at Collingwood. I think he's just going to take that tiny little slither of ruck hitouts away from the rucks at Fremantle. And again, you got Sean Darcy there, who is the other pretty dominant ruck. We'll talk about him in a second. So the role for Luke Jackson is just a little bit of risk there, I think. Just a tiny bit of role risk. He obviously has the skill to dominate. He could be a 100+ ruckman. I just think the role is just a little bit off. There's other people there. There's also, was it Aiden Riddle is the other young ruckman there who might even also get some games if the old Mason Cox and Sean Darcy cark it for a chunk of the season. We'll see. Now here's where people are going to hate me a bit, but Rowan Marshall is someone I'm not going to touch this year, especially to begin with. I might trade for him if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to draft him in the first couple of rounds, and I'll leave him for someone else because I think he's going to have an awful year, to be honest. Maybe not awful, but nowhere near pick 1 or 2 or round 1 or 2 in drafts. He has Tom DeKoning there now, and I feel like they are two big dominant ruckmen that are just going to be, sharing it around. And I'd say the relative statistic to that would be the Max Gawn and Brodie Grundy 2023 debacle, when Grundy came into the Demons, had a dominant Gawn-led team, and in 2023, Max Gawn averaged 92 when Brodie Grundy came into the team. And I think that's exactly what's about to happen at St Kilda with Rowan Marshall. I don't know, it might even be less. No, surely it won't go less than 90s. But I just think there's a general chunk that they're going to be sharing it. They're both going to dominate when you see them, but they're both going to be there. And as I've said in a previous video, but 2 don't fit into 1. And they're both going to be out there, I think, unless one of them does have any trouble injury-wise, which very potentially could happen this year with the new rules. But I just don't think Rowan Marshall's going to get the numbers he did last year. It's as simple as that. He's going to be sharing it with Tom DeKoning. So take it with a grain of salt. That's my opinion. If you want to draft him earlier, he is obviously a beast. He plucks marks for fun. But if you think he can out-ruck Tom DeKoning all year, why not? Go for it. But I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. I'd be waiting on draft day on Rowan Marshall. Jared Witts, dominant ruckman for years, getting on in years a bit, relinquished the captaincy a little bit, I think, at least not main captain anymore. But just has had durability issues is his main gripe, I think, and just doesn't put up the numbers quite as big as he did in his prime, is what I'd say. But has done the job for years. I think he's going to be an all right ruckman again. But you've got Ned Moyle down the list here as well, who I think is an incredibly good ruckman. He just is still very young, very, very young. So I think he could be in for a bit of a breakout if he gets the opportunity. Witts, or maybe, close. He's definitely closer to the end than the start. But we'll see. Ruckmen are going for pretty long these days. See how he holds up this year. I think he's still got a good year in him. But maybe if you want to be safe, if you're drafting Jared Witts, maybe look into drafting Ned Moyle a couple of rounds later. Kieran Briggs is the other one there. GWS, a little bit of role risk maybe coming into the year, especially after last year when he did not have a good year. He was averaging like 70, I think, in the end. And I'm thinking he'll be back. I think he is the main man, and they're going to give him the CBAs. But we did see in the preseason games he was sitting forward. But he did kick 5 goals as well. So it was like, is he going to be a forward ruck? I think we saw Jake Riccardi in the ruck a bit. And then you've got Nick Madden there as well, who is going to be really good in a couple of years, I think. But he should get a few more games too. So, a little bit of risk with Briggs as well. So it's done. You can see the rucks at this point, after Marshall or Jackson, it really starts to get a little bit risky. So I think that's why rucks are pretty important this year, because some of these guys definitely have risk with role or, unprovenness. There might, big changes coming in this year, I think. And Kieran Briggs, and around this mark of rucks, is definitely questionable. As I said before, Tom DeKoning with Rowan Marshall there. I think Tom DeKoning is great. He's a great number 1 ruckman, but he's just not going to get the whole time on ground and all the CBAs in the world. He's going to be sharing it with Rowan Marshall and pushing forward. Maybe they get DPP, Marshall, or decoding, but I just don't see them averaging over 100, either of them this year. So I think Tom DeConing will be the lesser of the two St Kilda ruckmen, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be flipped around by the season's end, but I think that's how it's going to go. Now, here's a good one. Darcy Fort. I can't believe I'm saying this, but is he potentially like one of the most secured ruckmen this year? Like with Sam Draper, I know Sam Draper's there and he's getting a little bit of hype. He's also had a stress fracture, I think, in his foot. And that's not a good thing for a ruckman to have, especially with these new ruck rules, jumping and all that, and much more athletic game. Is Darcy Ford an option now? I guess he's going to be a great sleeper, I think, in drafts, to be honest, because he's been doing it when Big O wasn't there the last couple of years. When Big O wasn't there, Darcy Fort was pushing 80s most weeks. Like, he had good floor scores. He's a good floor score ruckman. Wouldn't say he's a high score ruckman, but if he's got the role, he gets up to 80 most weeks. So, I don't know. That's just an interesting one for the year ahead with Sam Draper on the brink and has always been issues with him. So, yeah, I'm just concerned about Sam Draper. And I think Darcy Fort is a legitimate option in fantasy this year. Call me crazy. I think I'm a bit crazy. But, yeah, Darcy Fort maybe pushing the 80s by the end of the year. Riley O'Brien there is a concern for me now in the preseason. I just don't know what the Crows are doing in the ruck because there is Lachlan McAndrew, who came over from the Swans a few years ago, and people are saying he's going to be the number one ruck a bit this year. He's going to get the pip over Riley O'Brien, at least going to trial him. They did trial him the other day, and he might have picked up an injury, actually. So that's why Riley O'Brien's still on the list here. I think Riley O'Brien will get the numbers. He will get the role because they'll just want that security eventually. That's what they've gone with the last couple of years. It hasn't completely worked. So they want to trial new things. But, if McAndrews or what was the other one? Kieran Strachan. I don't know if he's AFL playing at the moment. He might just be VFL. But, and then you got a bunch of tall guys, tall forwards that can go on the rucks there as well. So it's just an interesting setup at Adelaide. And yeah, just with a bit of preseason talk with Lachlan McAndrew going into the ruck, I feel like Riley O'Brien has that little bit of risk to him now, definitely. So, he was a 90-ish ruckman a few years ago. Just hasn't done it in recent years either. Just doesn't have the output. There's a reason they're looking to shift the rucks, I think, at Adelaide. So, yeah, could be one later on, but wouldn't be jumping the gun on draft day on Riley O'Brien. Talked about Ned Moyle there. I think he's great. I think he's going to get a lot more games this year. You also have Ethan Reid there at the Suns, and he's going to get some games. I think he's very fit and young still, so he's going to be running on the wing, to be honest. He's so fit for a tall dude that he can get the wing roll. So I don't think he is going to be impeding. So I think it's all about Ned Moyle and Jared Witts. And I think Ned Moyle's going to get in amongst it again, especially if Jared Witts goes down. Get on board with Ned Moyle. I think he's going to, have a fantastic year, and I might even be lowballing him here at 81. I reckon, it could be better than that, especially if Witts goes down. Matthew Flynn at West Coast. I just think he has the role. I think that's the main thing I've got there. You got Cooper Duff Tyler coming in. A couple of tall options there that probably being used in forward and defensive options. So I think it's all about Flynn. You got Bailey Williams is the other one. He's been kind of doing most of the work. Flynn has been a bit injury prone. So there's a bit of element of risk there with Flynn. So West Coast as well, haven't been the most fun ruck situation or most position situations there for a couple of years. So a very late pick on draft day. But I just think Flynn, if he's fit, has the role and yeah, will be there. And he does all right when he gets the time on ground and has that number one ruck role. The Port Adelaide situation, I just could not pick and choose between. So I've got them both here back to back, is Jordan Sweet and Dante Vicentini. Young ruckman coming in. I think he's potentially going to get the pip over Jordan Sweet. We saw Ivan Soldo's down for the year. He's out with an ACL injury. So Dante Vicentini instantly bumped up the ranks there. And yeah, Sweet hasn't quite proven himself yet, I don't think. He had a pretty good year last year, but Dante Vicentini, young 23-year-old ruckman, has the height, has been dominating in the sandful, I think. He was playing a preseason game and looking all right the other day. So I've chucked him on the list here, and I think he's worth a late pick. Maybe even earlier. We'll have to see in the next preseason game. But yeah, could be a sneaky breakout with the new ruck rules and yeah, just the opportunity at Port Adelaide. Sean Darcy, I just talked about him quickly before. I've got him on the list here. I'm not sure if I wanted him on the list here, in all honesty. I think it's really scary. People talk about him every year. Yeah, he's going to go off, and he does. He has some good games. I think he was averaging in the 90s a couple of years ago, but recent years, just haven't seen it. Just to be blunt, he's been off the field more than he's been on the field, it seems, and pretty sure he has never played an entire season. And coming into this preseason, I think he's had some niggles as well. So touch and go to start the season already, and just someone that I'm putting way down the draft order. I'm going to get on board with the new rules and maybe be looking for something. If I'm needing a ruckman later in my drafts, I think I'll be going someone other than Sean Darcy. Try a youthful athletic option, because I don't think Sean Darcy will make 20 games for sure this year. I think he's going to struggle with the new rules, and he's obviously got Luke Jackson and now Mason Cox to compete with. So look, not too keen on Sean Darcy, unfortunately. Good guy, and I had him a few years ago in my leagues, and it's just sad to see when ruckman break down a bit. Hopefully he can come good. Hopefully I'm wrong, to be honest. And finally there, Nick Bryan. I know he's not going to be starting the season, so don't be picking him too early, but one to keep an eye on in the early rounds of the season. Check on Nick Bryan's... maybe we'll get a VFL hit out early or something. But I reckon when he comes back, hopefully, I think he's going to be the number one ruckman. There's a bit of talk about the other guy, Lockie Blackiston, who is not a ruckman option to start the year. He's a defensive option, so that's why he's not on this list. But Lockie Blackiston will start in the ruck for Essendon. And he's actually apparently been flying for Essendon in the ruck role. So that's kind of weird to say. But could be a sneaky option if Blackiston, gets the ruck DPP. But also, again, Nick Bryan, getting back to him, he's been pipped to be the next big ruckman for a while. Bombers fans have been keen on him, and I think he's definitely got the output if he gets given the role. But this I guess the only opposition there is Blackiston now, and the other Vicentini is also there, but I think he's had a bit of an injury. But Nick Bryan put it out a few years ago. He didn't get the games, obviously. Sam Draper, Todd Goldstein was there. But when he did get the game, he did put up some decent scores, put up a 90, I think, at one point, and was still very young then. So he's been out with an ACL injury. Hopefully he's going to come back soon. And when he does, I just feel like at least by the halfway point, we'll be seeing Nick Bryan this season, and hopefully he'll be putting up some numbers for us. Well, there you go, guys. There's my top 20 ruckman for the season ahead. Let me know if I've missed any there or your thoughts in the comments. And please like and subscribe and follow me on social media. Bit of content coming up throughout the season, so stay tuned for that. And follow and like and play some Game Day Squad with me, guys. Can open some packs with the code word MONSTAR and start collecting cards and playing some new way to play fantasy. So get on board with that and join me there. And yeah, stay tuned. Got some midfielders and defenders videos coming out soon. Cheers.